We're here to talk about Mr. Bean, free thinker, anarchist, lonely man. The defining aspect of Rowan Atkinson's iconic character is the manner in which he marches to the beat of his own drum. He is there to live his life and pursue his goals. To hell with the rest of the world. However, it is the law of the universe that flagrant disregard for social conventions cannot go unpunished, and throughout the series we are shown a number of opposing forces that try to ground the free-flying Bean. Today, we are going to investigate some of Mr. Bean's greatest rivals and, more importantly, decide if they succeed in their mission to stop him. Let's begin. Number 5, it's the Crazy Golf Stickler from Tee Off Mr. Bean. Now, Bean's interactions with this antagonist are fairly limited, but the owner of the Crazy Golf mini golf course sets in motion a battle of wills that will test the very depths of Bean's resourcefulness and cunning. You see, when he informs Bean that he isn't allowed to touch the golf ball while it's still in play, he sets in motion a series of events that leads Bean all over town, compelled by his own sense of honor to complete the hole without breaking the rules set down for him. Of course he succeeds, and it's safe to say the owner wasn't expecting that one. Rule of advice if you're a betting man, do not bet against Mr. Bean. Hole in one. Number 4 is the delinquent camera vagrant from Mr. Bean Goes to Town. See, it was just a simple theft. What could go wrong? Mr. Bean, lover of nature that he is enjoying a day in the park when this opportunistic lowlife takes advantage of his naivete to make off with his personal property. That was mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, not getting away while he had the chance. You see, Mr. Bean is a pragmatic man. He's prepared to use the police to achieve justice, but he is more than prepared to take matters into his own hands if necessary. Armed with only a council standard rubbish bin and a pencil, he will find a picture-perfect justice time and time again. The next time you steal a camera, make sure it doesn't belong to Mr. Bean.
Ow! Oh! Ow! Ow! Ow!
Number 3 is the well-dressed nightclub Chud from Mr. Bean Goes to Town. They say all's fair in love and war, but this war's not fair and Bean's heart is still sore. Bean's anarchistic antics prematurely conclude a washed-up magician's tacky nightclub act, for which the rest of the patrons are undoubtedly relieved, but it sows the seed of dissent between him and his homely girlfriend, named Irma Gob, officially. Well, in swoops this well-dressed chud to pick up the scraps like the rat he is, and that's when our battle really begins. This unnamed character is in many ways the anti-Bean, the slick yin to Bean's erratic yang, light where Bean is dark, smooth where he is rough. It is rare, of course, for Bean to resort to violence, but matters of the heart call for drastic solutions. Alas, our hero wins the battle, but loses the war, with Bean's girlfriend, again called Irma Gob officially, opting for the modern metrosexual over the warrior of old represented by Bean. He claws back some lost ego and scorches the earth in retreat, but it's little more than a consolation prize. Time to change the record. This is 1 point against Mr. Bean. Number 2 is the unnamed driver. See, no list talking about Mr. Bean's rivals would be complete without mentioning perhaps his greatest rival of all, the driver of the 1972 Reliant Regal Supervan 3. the ill-fated vehicle that is bested by Bean and his faithful Minnie on numerous occasions. Now, it's made clear that this is not mere happenstance. This isn't just some random vehicle that's in the wrong place at the wrong time, because we know Bean takes visible joy in confronting this vehicle. We know from previous examples on this list that Mr. Bean doesn't pick his enemies at random. There has to be some kind of history there, but we aren't given any clues. Comment below as to what you think could have caused this rivalry. Regardless, whatever transpired between Bean and the driver of the Reliant, or Reliant if you prefer, it was enough to render them enemies for life, clearly. And I'm sorry, in a war like that, it doesn't matter how many wheels you have, you are going to lose. Number 1 is the Denim Karate Expert from Tee Off Mr. Bean, and I picked this one as his optimal rival because it really demonstrates the forces in the world that are working against Mr. Bean and people like him. You see, the greatest mistake you can make when you're engaging with Mr. Bean is assuming that your intimidation will work. Assuming that you can bully him like you have so many others in the past, to tease and to taunt and torment, thinking that'll be enough for you to get your way. There's no misunderstanding the motivations of our laundromat karate expert in Tee Off Mr. Bean. There's no redeeming qualities to be had. He targets Bean because he senses weakness, and he sees somebody he can easily make angry. Bean doesn't get angry. Bean gets even. And all it takes is a cup of instant coffee and a washing machine. Of course, Bean is required to take a sip of toxic washing detergent for the illusion to be complete. But that is a small price to pay for putting this meat-headed goon promptly in his place. In this judo contest, Bean emerges the victor, and for standing up to bullies like this karate expert and so many others in the world around him, I would like to say, Mr. Bean, I salute you. Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed listening to this review of Mr. Bean's greatest rivals as much as I've enjoyed making it. And if you haven't, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. But in the meantime, please subscribe to this channel and give the video a like if you think Mr. Bean will always win in the end, both against his rivals and his wider battle against the world at large. And stay tuned for more Bean and Bean-related content.